Well, good afternoon, everyone. Before we get started, please join me in invoking our teacher's name 3 times. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Alrighty. So today's topic is going to be about the 6 realms of existence, a very small smidget of Buddhist cosmology, which is very vast and huge, actually. But generally speaking, within the cosmology of Buddhism, we fall under one of 3 realms. The Karma Dhatu realm, which is the realm that we're in, the form realm, the Rupa Dhatu, and the formless realm, the Arupa Dhatu realm. And then 6 realms fall under the Kama Dhatu realm, the first realm. The lower realm, because we're a lower species, apparently. But I have in here, so this is the realms of Buddhist cosmology that I have here in my notebook. It's not very pretty. I wrote in it. Now I was looking through it this morning. I was like, what is that word? It's too small. I didn't do a very good job. But it's fairly important to understand. Not really. It's not so important to know exactly all the different types of realms, right? Because they're not really places outside of there. They're just stages of consciousness or levels of consciousness, levels of enlightenment that we get to. And each level or step that we attain, we gain the wisdom and the benefit of that attainment, but we also lose some other stuff too, right? So we're losing the 3 poisons, we're losing the greed, we're losing anger, we're losing jealousy, we're losing stuff, but we're gaining something. So we're kind of a higher mindset to normal people, right? But Leon, could you move the birds, please? I'm sorry, I forgot to do that earlier. I'll speak very slowly until you get back. So the 6 realms, and the realm that we're in, the Kama Dhatu, we have the 6 realms, so 3 higher realms and 3 lower realms. The 3 higher realms are the Devas, the Asuras, the humans, and then the 3 lower realms are animals, hell, and hungry ghosts or spirits. And I'm going to explain in 2 different ways. The first way I'm explaining it as just how it's traditionally spoken of, right? How it's typically in the teachings and in the sutras, and then I'll explain a little bit more about how it really is, right? Because you have to remember that Buddha's teaching has a lot of imagery, right? Because back in the day, there was no memes and GIFs and videos that we can watch to make things kind of visually get to us, right? So the Buddha and all the disciples had to use imagery. They had to use parables and examples and just kind of something kind of to juggle the imagination a little bit, right? So there are a lot of sutras, there's a lot of discourses where, for example, the realms of hell are very graphic. They're very detailed, right? They're to a point where you're just like, how is this even Buddhism, right? Because it's so detailed in its imagery. So, for example, one of the levels of hells, there's a sub-hell where you get boiled in hot oil, right? Like that's your punishment. And and then there's like demons like poking at you and flipping you around. Basically, just you're a turkey being roasted, right, in hell. So it's not really something that may actually happen. It's just something to help give you some sort of help you imagine something. Help you imagine a place in life where if you do bad things, this type of suffering can happen to you, right? Not necessarily boiled in oil, but something else can happen to you, right? So I'll go back. So the traditional way of teaching the 6 realms. So the first one is going to be the Devas, which is the highest realm of our realm of existence here, right? The Devas, or the heavenly realm, or the godly realm, depending on where you want to read it at. But this is the place where the beings are completely happy. There's no suffering, right? They don't have to worry about any worries. There's no bills to pay. There's no things they have to worry about outside of this little perfect world, right? But because because they live in such a perfect world where they don't really have to worry about anything and nothing's really causing them any suffering or worry or anxiety, they are so content with the happiness that they don't seek spiritual growth, right? They don't seek the spiritual side of things, but because they're like, well, I'm happy as is. I'm not suffering. I'm not, struggling with anything. Why do I have to seek spiritual growth, right? So they're just kind of happy. The only time where they may start to worry about their life is, on their deathbed. Now they're dying, like, oh goodness, I did all these nice things, I have all these nice things, but now what's going to happen to me, right? That's the moment of worry, is on their deathbed. The second highest is asuras, or demigods, right? They are also very fortunate. They also possess complete happiness, and all their wishes and desires are fulfilled. But unlike the Devas, where they don't really seek anything more than what they already have, because they have everything they need, right? The Asuras, on the other hand, seek more. They want more. So they want more money. They want more wealth. They want more happiness. They want more power, more greed, right? So they have everything they need, but it's not enough for them. They want more. They try to grasp more. And in some of the teachings, and even in the imagery, so the wheel of life that we'll see sometimes in Buddhist art, mostly in Tibetan Buddhism, where everything's imagery there. But you'll see a wheel of life, right? And the wheel of life holding is Mara. Mara is like the god of the underground, right? But really, that's just our defiled mind, right? Because our defiled mind is what controls everything that we do. But in the wheel, there'll be a few different layers. So the outside layer will have 12 sections for the 12 links of dependent origination, right? And the 12 links are controlled by are worked within the 6 realms. So the inner ring will be the 6 realms of existence. But sometimes in imagery and some of the teachings, you'll see that the Suras are kind of fighting the Devas. They're fighting the humans, right? Because they're wanting more, right? So they're trying to acquire more wealth, or acquire more whatever it is, right? And then we have the human realm, our realm, where we're kind of the middle ground, right? We have both. We have moments of both complete satisfaction and moments of complete suffering, right? We're kind of there. The Buddha had mentioned that in all these realms, the best realm to be in is the human realm, the human existence. To be human is the best gift you can have, because we are the only, of the 6 realms, we are the only beings where we are capable of seeing our suffering, of seeing the dissatisfaction in life. We're the only ones capable of churning that. It's a cat, probably. We're the only beings capable of changing the suffering into happiness, into peace, right? So we are capable of seeking the spiritual guidance that's necessary to do that. We're able to eliminate the 3 poisons. We're able to further our studies and further our practices through meditation, through teaching and whatnot. And in the 3 lower realms, we have the animal realm, which I guess we can see that's an actual thing, right? Because there's such thing as animals. But the animal realm is for those that have the animal realm is for the beings that are what's a good word I'm looking for? basically paying back their karma for being greedy, or being hungry for power, hungry for territory, hungry for just having like animal instincts, right? They're not really thinking of things. They just do things out of reaction, right? So if you're angry, you react with anger right away. If you're being attacked or whatever, you're doing something right away. You're doing it kind of not habitual, but you're just doing it out of instinct without really thinking about it, right? You're not thinking about the consequences. They're just kind of attacking and grasping and trying to conquer this and trying to conquer that and trying to own this and own that. And then we have the hungry ghosts, or hungry spirits. I believe in ghosts. There has to be ghosts. Because I'm pretty sure this temple's haunted. I'm pretty sure of it. But whether you believe it or not, the hungry beings, and the imagery in the sutras, they are identified as beings with big bellies and long, thin necks, right? And they're that way because they're paying back their karma of also being greedy and being jealous, right? So they can't consume food or water because their throats are so small, right? And when they consume it, it turns into flame, according to the sutras. So they are those that cannot quench their thirst. They cannot satisfy their hunger, because they're constantly being greedy and constantly being jealous of other people having more than them or whatever, right? The last realm, the hell realm, the most graphic of them all, according to the sutras, are the beings who have done deliberate bad things, right? I think a couple of weeks ago I mentioned that, with karma and with holding our precepts, it's all about the intention. So if your intention is good, right, then it's a good thing. But even if you do something bad without the bad intention behind it, right, like if you accidentally run over an animal or something, you didn't intentionally do it, right? It was by accident. So even though there's a karmic hit to you for killing that being, it's not as high as it would have been if you were deliberately driving around the neighborhood trying to find animals to kill, right? So the hell realm are the beings who deliberately did all these bad things, right? They deliberately killed, they deliberately lied, they deliberately stole, they deliberately had sexual misconduct, etc., etc. These are the beings that hang on to their anger like it's hidden treasure almost, right? They love it. They feed off that anger, right? The anger is what fuels their life essentially. So that's the general piece of it, right? How it's mentioned in the sutras. The more westernized version that we can think of it, right, are the 6 realms being states of mind, right? So as I mentioned some of those already, some of them, if you really thought about it, some of these realms have characteristics that are within ourselves that we may recognize, or we've seen them out in other people, right? So the heavenly realm, for instance, the Devas, the highest realm, these are people who are fully satisfied, they're fully happy, they have no suffering in their life, right? And we probably know a lot of people like that, right? People who are wealthy, right? They never have to worry about being late on their bills or putting food on their table or providing for their family and whatnot, right? They're completely satisfied, they're content with their life. But there are also people who are pretty giving, they're pretty generous with their wealth as well, right? And we know a lot of wealthy celebrities and whatnot that kind of do that, right? Bill Gates gives away millions of dollars to charity. He educates third world countries. Then we have, what's that guy from the newspaper? That one's a newspaper. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, these are people who are very happy, very wealthy, very healthy. They have a perfect life, essentially, right? They don't have to worry about anything, and they're also very giving. Asuras, on the other hand, again, they're also pretty fortunate, so they could be wealthy. They could also be maybe happy. Who knows? I don't know. they're wealthy, they're healthy, but they are also still hungry for more. So they want more money, they want more prestige, they want more power and status. They want to be able to control things. You could probably think a lot of people like that right now, right? Who just are not satisfied with what they want, right? They have everything in the world, but they still want more. Yeah, sure, I'm a trillionaire, I'm a zillionaire, but I still want more trillions, I still want more zillions. Yeah, I own all these properties, but I still want to own half the world properties, right? Yeah, I have this high status, but I need bigger status. Presidency is not high enough, I want more, right? So they are high. They are. They have all the health and wealth and whatnot, right? But they're still wanting more. So they're still greedy for more. They're still greedy for the fame. They still have the concept of greed and anger within them, right? And then we have the human realm, which again is us. We're the middle ground. We contain all the qualities and characteristics of all the higher realms and all the lower realms. The human realm, I guess, is just the average everyday Joe, right? Just regular people who still have to work, who still have to go to school, who still have to pay their bills and worry about paying their bills and worrying about getting from point A to point B, right? Just the regular people. I saw that because that's pretty much it. Now we get to the fun ones, the lower realms. The animal realm, which again is literally a thing because there's animals, but again, it's also about the qualities of animalistic behavior, right? So it may be someone that is just a regular person, but they are still driven by greed. They're still driven by the want of material things, right? They're very possessive too, right? I can think, even like in relationships sometimes, right? One or the other very possessive, very possessive of their partner, right? Like they're not allowed to do this, they're not allowed to do that. They can't talk to this person, they can't talk to that person. So they're very territorial. They're very possessive of what they want, right? And they're very possessive of all their possessions too, right? They fear giving away their stuff. They fear someone that may come in and take them of themselves, right? These are hoarders. I would just call them hoarders, right? People who just hold on to things. And I always joke to say I'm a hoarder of boxes. I have probably like 70 empty boxes in my room. I don't know why. I just hoard the boxes. But a couple of weeks ago when I was cleaning, I was like, you know what? I'm finally gonna get rid of these boxes. So I finally did. So I have no boxes. Also in part because one of the neighbors I was walking by had boxes out there, and she's like, hey, can I have some of these boxes because I'm selling stuff and we need them. I was like, yeah, I got you. So I give her all the boxes out there, and I give her like 50 other boxes, and she took them all. So I'm like, oof, good, thank you. And then we have hungry ghosts. Hungry ghosts. Again, if you think of hungry ghosts, if you think of just the word hunger in general, right? Hunger doesn't necessarily mean just hungry for food, right? It means hungry, craving for stuff. It's craving for possessions, craving for money, for status, for title, for name and fame and all that too, right? And so in imagery, again, we see the imagery of the beings as hungry ghosts as people with big bellies and long thin necks, right? Because they can't eat enough or drink enough to satisfy their full. They're filled, so they have skinny necks. One of the sutras in the Ulambana Sutra is the sutra that we chant during Ancestors' Day or Parents' Day, which we just had recently. Tells the story of Mahamudgalyana, which is one of Buddha's enlightened disciples. And during meditation one day, because he's enlightened, he has a higher state of consciousness, right? So he's able to kind of see things, I guess, right? He was able to transform or transfer his consciousness to see where his parents was, because his parents had passed away, and he wanted to see where they're at, basically. Are they in hell? Are they in heaven? Are they reborn? Where are they at? So he found his mother in hell as a hungry ghost, right? And even though he was sad, he kind of knew why, because while she was living, she wasn't necessarily a very nice person. She would always judge and talk bad about the monks that went around and gave alms or asked for alms. She would feed them bad meats. She would feed them dog meat, right, which is one of the meats you're not supposed to eat. So she deliberately did bad things. She deliberately, talked bad about the monks, talked bad about the teachings. So she was reborn as a hungry ghost. So when Modigayana saw that, he was like, he tried to give her a bowl of rice to eat. And so she took the bowl of rice and she covered her face with one hand and tried to eat it together, right? So that no one else would see her eating. But because she was so greedy and she was jealous that everyone else would try to come and eat her food. So every time she tried to take a bite, it would turn into flame, right? Because she just doesn't have enough merit, doesn't have enough karma, good karma to actually eat it. So then Modigayana went back to the Buddha and explained what he had saw, how he was feeling. So he asked him and 99 other monks, so 100 monks in total, to pray for her so that she'd be able to change her mindset, right? Because we can't change other people. I can't go and change Leon's mind or make him think like this or believe in this or that, right? I can only show him by action, right? So I can only teach, or I can only chant and pray and hope that he adheres it and it'll kind of click in his mind, right? And you're like, okay, now I see the error in my ways. So that's essentially what he did and what the monks did. So after 100 days, he went back to hell to see if she was still there, and then the guards of hell, the guardians of hell, like, oh no, you freed her and you freed a whole bunch of other people too while you're at it, because everybody else were hearing your prayers. So since then, the Buddha had told the Sangha, the members, that every year from now on we do the Ulambana ceremony in order to pay homage and gratitude to our parents, to our ancestors. Because without our parents, we obviously are not here, right? And even when our parents have passed, or they're no longer with us, or they're far away, the Ulambana helps remind you that even though they're not here, they're still within you, right? Your body is made of the components of your mother and your father, so they're always there, regardless, right? So there are a lot of times, we hear people saying, "Oh, I'm estranged from my mother or father. I'm estranged from my kids. I haven't spoken to my children in how many years," right? And that's, kind of sad, and I hope nobody has to go through that, right? Parents and kids come from, completely different worlds, but different mindsets, right? So they're going to obviously think differently. Because I would argue with my mother over the dumbest things all the time, just for the sake of arguing sometimes, because it was fun to torture her, right? I don't do that anymore because I'm a good little monk. But the Ulambana helps us remember that, right? It helps us remember that, where we come from, why we're here, how we're here, and then just pay homage and gratitude to our parents. And then the hell realms, again, are very graphic, right? I'll just, for the sake of a few laughs, I'm going to read you some of the levels of hell, the names of the hells. So traditionally, all the hells have sub-hells, basically, right? There's hundreds of them. There are the cold hells, there are the hot hells, and there's the Avicii hell. Avicii hell is the lowest. That's where Satan is, basically. It's way down there. But again, the hell is just something, we can all probably recall a time in our life where we felt like we're in hell, right? Because everything was just going so wrong, so bad. Nothing was cooperating, nothing was working for us, right? We're just being bombarded by different things in our life that we kind of maybe even wanted to give up sometimes, right? And so we have the mentality of hell, and hell doesn't necessarily mean somewhere or something where we are being tortured or hurt physically. It could also be emotionally, it could be, psychologically, mentally. So in hell, right, is where we are hanging on to anger. That's probably the biggest takeaway from all the teachings, right? There's different characteristics and mindsets of being in hell, but the biggest one is anger. Anger is what drives so many people, right? That's how most wars are started, is because of anger, right? They're angry of some other country not doing something or not giving something. They're angry of people being a certain way or not being a certain way, right? We're hanging on to anger like it's our treasure, like it's our life force almost sometimes. And sure, there may be times where being angry at something is is legitimate. Is what? Kind of be constructive, right? But really, what does anger do? What does it do for you? Give me one positive thing. What does anger do for you? It blinds you. That's not a very good positive one, but it blinds you. Exactly. There's no positive being angry. So, but a lot of people feel the need to be angry at certain things or certain people or certain circumstances, right? They feel the need to be angry because they feel like it's they're owed the anger, right? So, for example, I've always used this example as our construction, right? A lot of things happen or don't happen the right way. They don't happen the right time. They don't happen at all, right? So for a normal person, right, if they were building a home and the contractor is not doing their job, or they're not finishing on time or meeting the deadline, right, you feel like you're legitimately capable, it's legitimate for you to be angry, right? Like, it's justified. There we go. That's what I was looking for. It's justified to be angry. But then being angry isn't going to change anything. Being angry is not going to make the contractor move any faster or do their job any quicker, right? All it does is just cause you to lash out. It causes you to curse out. It causes you to maybe throw things around or break things, or, then you're lashing out at other people, and then you're hurting their feelings, or you're making them feel down, whatever it is, right? You're causing a chain reaction to other people, right? So the more people you talk to, the more people you interact with, especially if you're in public, it can rub off of other people. So that's why it's one of the three poisons, right, in the practice: greed, anger, and ignorance. But it's also the most difficult to release sometimes, right? Especially if we come in to the practice already angry at the world. We're already angry about something or someone. It's really hard for us to be able to look past that sometimes. That's why I think it's last on the list of the three poisons, right? It's ignorance, greed, and anger. You don't necessarily have to go in that order and try to get rid of it in your life, but it is the hottest thing to get rid of, right? It's just heated. It's heated within your body. If you're so angry, sometimes you feel the heat just fuming, and you can feel the steam falling off your body. But that's hell, right? It's just that's being angry. It's not getting your way. It's not being able to control something that you feel you should be able to control. It's just not letting go. That's another thing. It's just not letting go too. It's part of the anger. Again, there's no positive of it, so why hold on to it? And sometimes we can get over it pretty quickly, right? Maybe it'll take a few hours, it'll take a few days, whatever. But then some people hold on to their grudges, right? I had one friend in college who she would not let go of a grudge. 15 years have passed by. She's like, nope, I still hate you because you stole my pencil, right? Like, stupid stuff sometimes. But there's no benefit of being angry, right? And the Buddha would give the example of hold on to anger is like hold on to a hot coal. You're not helping anybody, you're just hurting yourself. That's truly what it is, right? And as practitioners, hopefully, right, we practice the mindfulness, we practice meditation, and so that when a situation arises where one may typically be angry, we instead would really just hold ourselves accountable. Think through this situation, right? What's happening? Why is it happening? And then you ask yourself, what am I feeling, and why am I feeling that way, right? So if you're able to evaluate and analyze the situation before you react, right? Because sometimes we may react quickly with anger. So before you're able to react with that, but really think through it and analyze it, we may hopefully come to the conclusion or the core issue as to why we are feeling whatever we're feeling, right? That way we don't let it control our situation, we don't let it control our reaction. And by doing that, we won't allow anger to kind of take over us. We can figure out why we're angry, how we're angry, why we're angry, and like, okay, fine, that's cool, and just let it go, right? We say let it go like it's something so simple, and sometimes it's really not, right? Sometimes it's a big issue where you really just have to be angry, right? But even a big situation, a big issue, there's really no reason to it, right? We have many members who are very politically opinionated. I'll say that. I can think of one. She's not here today, so I can talk about her. I'm just kidding. Her motivations, motivations can be legitimate. The motivations can be, coming from a good place. But sometimes when you're so heated on a topic, right? It could be anything. It doesn't have to be politics. But when we're so heated on a topic and we're trying to argue with someone about it or change their mind or, make them see their way or see our way, and it's just not happening, and because we're not getting the reaction that we want from them, we are just making ourselves feel bad. We're causing more anger to arise, right? And that's usually what happens when an angry person starts yelling at you or starts slashing out at you. They're wanting a reaction back from you, right? They want more anger from you. They want to fight you, right? They want you to fight them or want you to want to fight them. Because they're really going after that reaction, right? So if you're arguing with someone, usually the outcome that we want is not necessarily for them to agree with us, but to react to what we're saying, right? Because the more they react, the more we feel like, yeah, where I'm coming from is right? So if I'm telling you this is so wrong, this is clearly bad thing to do or illegal or whatever it is, you're like, no, it's totally not. You're totally stupid. And it's not. They're not agreeing with you. And the more that they disagree with you, the more you're feeling, oh, you're close to seeing where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Kinda, maybe. So a good practitioner would really, and I read an article from some psychologist lady, Rebecca something, and she was saying the best way to react to someone that's trying to argue with you or trying to change your mind is just to say, okay, right? That's it, just okay. You don't have to say, oh yeah, I see that, or I see where you're coming from, or okay, that's cool, right? You're not agreeing, you're not disagreeing, you're just acknowledging, right? Because all you really have to do in life is just acknowledge, right? The same way we acknowledge distractions when we're meditating. You don't want to react to them, you don't want to hang on to them, you don't want to entertain them, you don't want to go after the thoughts. You simply just acknowledge it and it'll go away. Same thing will happen with the person you're arguing with. You just acknowledge what they're saying and they're like, okay, cool, fine, whatever, walk away, right? But sometimes we have the habit of wanting to react. We have the habit to want to argue, right? Because we have this ego where we're like, no, you're wrong and I'm right. Whether you have proof or don't have proof, right? Your ego is trying to take over. Your ego is trying to convince that person that their way is wrong or right, right? Some people are just unchangeable in their views, right? They're gonna think they're right. They're gonna think that their wrong way is their right way forever, whether they have the proof, whether they have studies, whether they have whatever, whatever. If you have something that's clearly correct in front of them and they're eating it, and they're still gonna disagree with you, right? Because some people just don't want to change their mind, and that's fine, right? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't affect you. It shouldn't affect your mindset, your thinking, your attitude, because that's their life, right? They're the ones stuck in hell. They're the ones stuck in whatever realm of existence they want to be in. I was supposed to talk about the hells, and I got this. I'm always going off topic, but the point is that if we are in a situation of anger or despair or frustration, or any time where we think that we are just in hell, right? Acknowledge it, because we really do go through all these different realms of existence, right? Maybe even on a daily basis, if we're pretty active in the world, right? We're gonna go through a time where, sometimes we wake up, it's fresh in the morning, we're doing all right, we're having our coffee, we have our breakfast, everything seems perfectly fine, right? We are content. We haven't started work yet, we haven't started school yet, so we don't have anything to worry about yet, right? So we're in a heavenly realm at that point. Then we start maybe going to work, right? We have to interact with people, we have to do our job, we have to correct other people, we have to help other people, right? Maybe we're trying to run after this promotion or get a raise, right? So we have what we want, but we want more, right? We want that raise, we want that promotion. So now we're in a realm of asuras. And then maybe we got off work, we're content, like, yes, I'm gonna get off work, and I'm gonna go it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Get you a happy hour, get you lunch or dinner. You're in a nice heavenly or nice human realm, right? You have to go home, to interact with family, crying children, yelling wife or husband, right? Something happened, something didn't happen. You didn't pay this, you didn't pay that. You didn't get this, you didn't get that, right? Things are happening. So then you kind of go through the cycles of all the different helly realms or all the other realms, right? Or you may go back home to a perfectly normal situation. No one's yelling, no one's crying, no one's arguing, no one's, nothing perfect. I don't know if there's such a thing. My house was never like that, but maybe there is somebody's house, right? So we all go through these cycles, right? We all go through the 6 realms, either on a daily basis, a weekly basis, whatever it may be, right? But the reason the realms are significant in the teachings, the reason why there's so much imagery and graphic detail of their of the places and the characteristics of these beings, is because to help remind us that, if you want to be in a higher realm, right? If you want to be happier, if you want to be at peace and just kind of free of all the lower stuff, then we need to practice. We need to be able to get rid of the things that cause us to be in the lower realms, right? So the greed, anger, and ignorance, right? Those are the 3 main things. And of course, within the 3, there's jealousy and there's greed and all the other stuff, right? But that's why the teachings were there. Like, if you want these good places, if you want to have these good mindsets, these good characteristics in life, these good situations and whatnot, then you need to practice this way, or do these, or don't do that, and get rid of these, so you can be here. Otherwise, if you're doing bad, if you're killing, if you're lying, if you're stealing, then you may get caught, and you're going to go to jail, and then you're in hell, and you're stuck, and you're not a normal person for who knows how long, right? this won't be mentioned anywhere, but usually the way when I read like the details of the hell realms, for instance, like these are basically scare tactics, which is fine, right? Hopefully it scares you enough to not want to do bad things, right? Because really, if you do bad things in real life and society, right, if you're stealing or if you're murdering or whatever, then like 99% of the time people get caught, right, and you're going to go to jail. And then from that point, then you have a record, you have, you have all this time in jail or prison, and then you have to make up for it. And once you get out, then it's really hard for you to really get back to normal society, right? It's hard for you to maybe get a job. It's hard for people to trust you. It's hard for people to want to get to know you or be with you because now you're a criminal and you have a record, right? So by doing bad things, you're going to end up suffering these consequences, right? And it's all about the consequences here, right? Good things bring good things. Bad things bring bad things. That's the law of karma. So just for the heck of it, I do at least want to mention some of the hells here. And again, there's plenty of them. I'm only going to say the name. I won't describe most of them, but I'll just mention what the name of the hell is. And usually, we can kind of figure out what it means, the description at least, right? Maybe not necessarily in real life and how it portrays, because you really have to read the whole description to really, because all these names, all the descriptions lead to a specific kind of suffering that we have in life, right? That's why there's so many, because we have so many sufferings, right? Anything and everything really can cause suffering. Anyway, so there's the cold hells, which they're cold, right? They're not hell, fire hell, they're ice hell. But some of the cold hells are the blister hell. So naraka means hell. So it's the blister naraka. There's the burst blister naraka, where we all had blisters, we all had them burst one time, right? I had one on my elbow once, it was disgusting. Anyway, we have the shivering naraka, shivering hell, the lamentation hell, the shattering teeth hell, and the blue lotus hell, and the great lotus hell. This one I'll describe. Lotus, the blue lotus, just signifies intense cold, or makes the skin turn blue. And some of the hot hells, these are the crazy ones. You have the reviving hell, which basically every time you die from being tortured, you get reborn and get tortured again. The black thread hell, the crushing hell, the screaming hell, the great screaming hell, and the great heating hell. These are only very few sub-hells of the two major hells. I'll stop there. But we don't want to be in any type of hell, right? We don't want to suffer in life any way, shape, or form. So that's where our practice comes in. That's where our meditation comes in and our good thinking comes in. Because we can have, like if we're practicing a full path, right? Right view. Right view is first and foremost and very important, right? Because everything else really stems from right view. Right view here means to not see things with ignorance. And ignorance in Buddhism doesn't necessarily mean like the regular ignorance, like you're just stupid, you don't know what you're talking about kind of ignorance, but ignorance in the sense of we are not able to see things as they truly are kind of ignorance, right? Which is really the big issue and the big teaching in Buddhism is seeing things as they truly are. Yes, Leon?
Just like ignorance, the root of the word ignorance is ignorance. So
right. Right, we ignore to see the truth, exactly. So by seeing things as they truly are, it's not as easy as it sounds, right? Because not seeing things as they truly are is a pseudo description for emptiness, right? Emptiness in Buddhism is like the highest teaching you can get, right? It's something you learn about way later in your practice, but seeing things as they truly are. If we look at it for anger, for example, right? Again, we go back to what am I feeling? How am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way, right? So you're asking the questions. You're trying to get to the root cause of that anger, that feeling of anger, right? So if your mother's yelling at you for something, and you're angry because she's yelling at you, well, maybe you should figure out why she's yelling at you in the first place, right? Versus just being angry at her yelling at you. Because it's not her that's yelling at you that's causing you anger, it's the reason why she's yelling at you that's causing anger. So maybe you didn't clean your room or do your homework, clean the dishes, right? So if you didn't in the first place, and the whole anger part after that wouldn't have happened in the first place. So it's seeing the things as they truly are, right? And that's the emotional part. But then there's like the physical aspects of life, right? So, right? So this book, for instance, right? This is a book. But why is it a book? It's a book because society has given the name, the title of book. But what book really is made out of non-book elements, right? So the pages here are of paper. Where did paper come from? It comes from mostly trees, right? And where did the tree comes from? The tree comes from the soil, from the ground, from the sun, from the rain and air, and all the other elements that make up the tree, right? So these are non-elements that make up something that make it what it is. So it's seeing things as they truly are. So, once later in life, it may take many lifetimes, but once we get to a point of enlightenment, right, we start to see things like that. We see the things within things, right? So that way we don't get attached to the beautiful thing, because the beautiful thing may be beautiful on the outside, but internally we're kind of maybe gross, right? Same with the body, right? Outside flesh, we may look young and healthy and beautiful, but if we took the skin away, and then we're left with blood and pus and urine, feces, all the other gross stuff that make us inside, right? So it's like, why get attached to the outside then? Why are you getting attached to the exterior when the interior is just as ugly as something that's already ugly outside, right? But I won't go there. That's another teaching. So that's the realms. Again, I think it's pretty interesting if we go and search the cosmology. So the full cosmology of Buddhism has 31 realms of existence. And again, it's pretty vast. And as we get, and whether you believe this or not, as we get higher into the realms, right, the lifespans of those realms are higher. So for instance, after we get to one of the higher heaven realms, the average lifespan there is 1,000 celestial years. So one celestial day is 100 human years, right? So you can live up to 36 million years, human years, right? And it just gets higher and higher as you go to different levels. So at one point, you can literally be living for like 1 billion years, right? But who knows what that really means, right? I'm not that advanced in my teachings yet to acknowledge the realms and how they work just yet, but it's interesting to really just see the big picture of Buddhist cosmology and see where little things come from, because the higher realms you can get to through the levels of meditation. So there's 4 major jhanas or dhyanas in Mahayana of Buddhist meditation, right? These are very high states of consciousness that most meditation masters are really trying to strive to get. So for example, in my meditation classes, I've taught the different techniques and the methods of meditation. All this is leading to what is it called? It's a preliminary state of pre-jhana, right? So before you can even get to the first level of jhana, it's like a state where you have to have full one-pointed concentration, right? Samadhi. You have to have that one-pointed concentration before you even get to the first level. right? But even just getting to the first level is very high and very advanced and very, you're pretty accomplished practitioner just getting to the first level. But getting to the prerequisite of that is where all the classes come and try to help you to achieve. So hopefully, that's what we usually practice when we have meditation retreats. The whole point of this 6 hours total that we meditate helps you lead to get to that 1 point concentration. But of course, you do have to practice outside of the temple, right? I always stress that meditation is not a hobby, right? You can't pick it up and drop it, and pick it up and drop it like you want it. It's a very disciplined practice, and you will only benefit from its fruits if you practice diligently, right? It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 5 hours. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes, right? Meditation is about the quality, not the quantity. So if you have meditation for 5 minutes, if it's a good 5 minutes where you're truly concentrating and practicing correctly, that's going to benefit you for just sitting, randomly for 30 minutes and just playing with your thoughts and being distracted, right? Okay, I'm going to stop there before I start talking because I'm already over time. Any questions, concerns, emotional outbursts? Okay, so we will transfer the merit and then go to chanting. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha, Namo Shakyamuni Buddha, Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. For any positive karmic action we've accumulated here today, we wish to transfer the merit to all sentient beings and wish them full enlightenment. Body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow. Listen, listen, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. In gratitude we offer this incense to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas throughout space and time. May it be fragrant as earth herbs, reflecting our careful efforts, our wholehearted mindfulness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings become the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetful and realize our true home. The incense in the censer now is burning, all the Dharma realm in every place. Auspicious clouds appearing, our sincere intention thus fulfilling, as all Buddhas now show their perfect body. Homage to the incense cloud canopy, Bodhisattva and great Bodhisattvas. Homage Homage to the eternally abiding Buddhas, the supreme Dharma, and sagely Sangha throughout the Dharma and the realm of empty space and 3 periods of time. Homage to the fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, Maitreya, honored future Buddha, Manjushri, great wisdom, Bodhisattva, universal great conduct, Bodhisattva, all Dharma guarding Deva, Bodhisattva, and the assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Homage to Amitabha Buddha in the land of ultimate Avalokiteshvara, great compassion, Bodhisattva, great strength, Bodhisattva, earth sword, great vow, Bodhisattva, and the assembly of great pure sea like Bodhisattvas. Great compassion mantra of 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes Dhanani runs like this. Namo Ratnatrayaya, Namo Arya Avalokitesvaraya, Bodhisattvaya, Mahasattvaya, Mahakarunikaya, Om Sarvalavati, Sodanasasya, Namaskritva Namanarya, Avalokitesvaralantaba, Namo Nilakanta, Shri Mahapatashami, Sarvadata Shobham, Ajiyom, Sarvasattva Namo Pastava Namo Bhagamabatetu, Tadyata Om Avalokadokate Kalati Ishiri Mahabodhisattva Sabo Sabo Mara Mashi Mashi Hridayom Goro Goro Mahasitaya, Swaha Mahasitaya, Swaha Sitaya Ye, Shvaraya, Swaha Nilakante, Swaha Pranila, Swaha Shisamahokaya, Swaha Sarva Mahasataya, Swaha Chakrahasaya, Swaha Padmakeshaya, Swaha Nilakante Pantaraya, Swaha Mofodi Shankaraya, Swaha Namo Ratnatrayaya, Namo Arya Avalokite Shavaraya, Swaha Om Sedyanto Mandrapataya Swaha. The Dharma body is bringing morning light in concentration. My heart is at peace. A half smile is born on my lips. This is a new day, and I vow to go through it in mindfulness. The sun up has risen, shining in every direction. Noble Sangha, diligently bring your mind into meditation. Namo Shakyamuni Bodhaya, Namo Shakyamuni Bodhaya, Namo Shakyamuni Bodhaya. The one who bows and the one who is bowed to are both by nature empty. Therefore, the communication between them is inexpressibly perfect. The practice center is the net of Indra, reflecting all Buddhas everywhere, as my own person reflects in all, to whom with my whole life I go for refuge. Offering light in the 10 directions, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, to whom we bow in gratitude. Teaching and living the way of awareness in the very midst of suffering and confusion. Shakyamuni Buddha, the awakened one, to whom we bow in gratitude. Cutting through ignorance, awakening our hearts and our minds. Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of great standing, to whom we bow in gratitude. Working mindfully, working joyfully for the sake of all beings. Samanta Bhadra, the Bodhisattva of great action, to whom we bow in gratitude. Responding to suffering, serving beings in countless ways. Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of great compassion, to whom we bow in gratitude. Seed of awakening and loving kindness in children, sprouts, and all beings. Maitreya, the Buddha to be born, to whom we bow in gratitude. Showing the way fearlessly and compassionately, the stream of all our ancestral teachers, to whom we bow in gratitude. The Dharma is deep and lovely. We now have a chance to see it in practice. We vow to realize its true meaning. The Bodhisattva Avalokita, while moving in the deep course of perfect understanding, shed light on the 5 skandhas and found them equally empty. After this passion, he overcame ill-being. Listen, Shariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, form is not all. other than emptiness. Emptiness is not then form. The same is true with feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Listen, Shadi Putra, all dharmas are marked. They are neither produce nor destroy, neither defile nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing. Therefore, in emptiness, form nor feelings, no perceptions, nor mental formations, nor consciousness, no eye or ear or nose or tongue or body or mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object of realms of elements, no interdependent origins, and no extinction of them, no ill-being, no cause of ill-being, no end of ill-being, and no path, no wonders, no attainment, because there is no attainment. The Bodhisattvas ground in perfect understanding find no obstacles for circles. They overcome fear, liberating themselves forever from illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. All Buddhas in the past, present, and future arrive at full right and enlightenment. Therefore, one should know that perfect understanding is the highest mantra, the unequaled mantra, the destroyer of ill-being, the incorrupt mantra. Prajna paramita should therefore be proclaimed. Gate gate para, gate para, samgate bodhiswaha, gate gate para, gate para, samgate bodhiswaha, gate gate para, gate para, sam bodhiswaha. We invoke your name, Avalokiteshvara. We aspire to learn your way of listening in order to help relieve the suffering in the world. You know how to listen in order to understand. We invoke your name in order to practice listening with all our attention and open-heartedness. We will sit and listen without any prejudice. We'll sit and listen without judging or reacting. We will sit and listen in order to understand. We will sit and listen so attentively that we will be able to person is saying and also what is being left unsaid. We know that just by listening deeply we already alleviate a great deal of pain and suffering in the other person. We invoke your name, Manjushri. We aspire to learn your way, which is to be still and to look deeply into the heart of things and into the hearts of people. We will look with all our attention and open-heartedness. We will look with unprejudice. We will look without judging or reacting. We will look deeply so that we will be able to see and understand the roots of suffering through the impermanent and selfless nature of all that. Practice your way of using the sword of understanding to cut through the bonds of suffering, ourselves and other species. We invoke your name, Samantabhadra. We aspire to practice your vow to act with the eyes and heart of compassion, to bring joy to one person in the morning and to ease the pain of in the afternoon. We know that the happiness of others is our own happiness, and we aspire to practice joy on the path of service. We know that every word, every look, every action, and every smile can bring happiness to others. We know that if we practice wholeheartedly, we ourselves may become an inexhaustible source of peace and joy for our loved ones and for all species. We invoke your name, Shittigarva. We aspire to learn your way of being present where challenges, darkness, suffering, oppression, and despair, so we can bring light, hope, relief, and liberation to. We are determined not to forget about or abandon those in desperate situations. We will do our best to establish contact with those who cannot find a way out of their suffering, those whose cries for help, justice, equality, and human rights are not being heard. We know that help can be found in many places on earth. We will do our best not to contribute, creating more hells on earth, and to help already exists. We will practice in order to realize the qualities of perseverance and stability, so that like the earth we can always be supportive and faithful to those in need. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. Dwelling in the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, shining light that supports me, keep my practice free of obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha, in myself I aspire to help all people really awaken nature, realizing the mind of love. Taking refuge in the Dharma, in myself I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Taking refuge in the Sangha, in myself I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities to embrace all beings and support their transformation. Reciting the sutras, practicing the way of awareness gives rise to benefits without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We vow to offer tribute to parents, teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance and support along the path. To complete my announcement that I totally forgot to mention earlier was on Saturday, October 3rd at 8 a.m. we will have our day of mindfulness, which is our day of volunteering. So if you're able to join us, please do. Again, that's Saturday at 8 a.m. Thank you. Namo Shakyamuni.
See.